Welcome back to the EGF animation tutorial. Hopefully you've watched part 1 and you'll know what we're talking about. Okay, so we've started a new file and we start off with this one bone here. And it's in the center. And if you want to create new structure, you go to the structure controls, which is at the bottom, and you click on the big plus arrow. That will add new bones. As you can see, I've got 5. Each bone has their own individual control. You can rotate them in the X and Y coordinates. That's all you need. You don't need Z because that's for later. You can change the length of each bone, and you can change the base, which is where the bone originates from. For example, if I just rotate bone 4, it's about 90 degrees. That's 93. And I move it down, then it makes this L shape here, which you can see is good. You can use this for a lot of things. You have to be quite precise when you're rotating them. See, this is 93, and it takes a minute to get it to 90. We're just clicking carefully on the... There we go, it's 90. You've got to be quite careful. I'm going to implement an input, so you can just type in what you want. So, yeah. Let's just move that back up. You can change the length of them as well. They go quite big. I don't think I've limited the actual size of them. Let's zoom out. It goes huge, and then it can go really small as well. So that's length 1, and you can see it's really tiny. Now you can, as well as adding bones, you can delete bones. So there's this little X on the last bone you've made. So you can delete up to, and you always have one bone just for that. Okay, you can use this to create quite advanced structures. As you can see, this is my human style stickman thing, which I used in my previous video on my other channel. And I've got an animation of him waving and an animation of him walking, which I quite like. So yeah, you can make quite good structures with this. Okay, animation. The animation on this program is keyframe, so it's really easy to use. You've got this sidebar where it tells you which keyframe you're on. You can set the length of the keyframe, and you can add more keyframes, and you can you have to set the model to the keyframe. So for example, let's just make a quick model of a random thing. Let's just bring that down a bit and get it a bit precise. There we go. So this is a bit of a strange thing, but it's quite cool. Okay, this is our model. Let's say that's our model. I don't know what it is, but anyway. So that's our first keyframe. So we go to over here and we click set keyframe. Then to add the next keyframe, we have to select it. This little grey box will be light grey rather than dark grey like the rest of it. Then you can move your entire thing into a position that you feel is good. You can change the length. It won't change the base, but it will look pretty cool. So we can set that keyframe. Next frame, we can move it about again. Let's go for some kind of strange structure here, like that, and then we set that again by clicking set frame. We choose the length. The first frame doesn't want to be too long because it's the first thing you see. If you set it at really long, then it's just gonna be standing there for quite a while. Second frame you can have normal length, and then the third frame is a good length as well. Then when you press play, then you can see it will move for you. There we go. So soon I'll be able to add in the code export. So there we go. Another feature that this program has is if you have a lot of keyframes, you can go through and just easily manage them. If you don't set a keyframe, everything will be 0, as I'll show you. If I press play, it just disappears. It's because it sets it all to 0, so the length will be 0. So you just got to make sure. But you can use this quite well because you can create an animation. For example, let me just start a new one where you have 3 things. Set the first frame to be nothing. And set the second frame to have this strange structure of like this. So we can set that second frame, make it about a second long, which is 30 steps, just in case you didn't know how GameMaker works default. And then it just grows out. Oh, it needs to have a couple of steps before you start it. And there we go. So I believe the steps has to always be greater than 1 to actually play it. But that looks quite cool. Like a plant growing, I always think. You can use this to do very advanced things. For example, this is my human I showed in my previous video. And before, this is the one of him walking. So if I press play, he'll walk. Just one walk cycle. I haven't quite got the length of the keyframes right, but it does the job. And when I get to add models to that would look cool. Unfortunately, when you add a lot of keyframes and a lot of bones, it can get quite laggy. But don't worry, that should be fine. You can also delete frames, like with the structure. If I play it now, he'll only do about half of his animation. As you'll notice on the information page, this is just information. It's got a feature called future updates. These are bits which I'm hoping to add in, definitely add in on the next version. I've got other ideas, but these are things that I definitely want to add in. For example, saving structures separately and saving animations separately. Currently, you've got to save the game, so therefore I recommend that you save when a model when you create it, and then when you make an animation, you save the animation, and then you'll or have the model separate, and it won't be in strange deformed shapes from your animation. Hopefully, you'll be able to render animations. That I know roughly how to do that. Export the code for your animation, which is useful for your games in 3D. Also, you'll be able to actually type in where the rotations and the length are, just in case you have a huge structure. You don't want to be clicking through, or the time it takes to get exactly 90 degrees, as a rotation on one of your bones can take a while. So this is just to make sure that it's faster. So that's coming out in the next tutorial. So that's my tutorial on how to use the EGF Animator. I want to make another tutorial soon, because this is just covering the basics, and I hope I'm adding all those new features. So goodbye.